Yeah, Jizzy, I finally got the books, man. Mind blower, man.
Killer. Now
I
you're
got,
a Jedi.
I am the Trilogy of Terror.
Now you're a fucking Jedi, dude.
You know when someone says something in their voice, like they're telling you to go see a movie, like when someone told you to see Pulp Fiction, you knew there's like that, you're gonna really like this. Just trust me. You had that about these books, and my mind is blown. I
Well,
mean,
I told you that the second and third one were extensions of the first one, a little less abstract, a little bit more, I don't know, graphic, I guess.
yeah. I mean, there's so much. It actually's changed me. Like I look at the singer of Blackboard Jungle now differently because just the section voice, dude, that was pretty wild about the voice. I didn't understand. Like, wow, it really is like a singer. You wake up, you don't know where it's going to be, man. What you're looking at.
Well, that's a true story that every night when you're on tour in your bunk, you wake up in the morning and you go, well, is this going to be a good day or a bad day? Am I going to be able to sing or am I going to have to struggle? So that's all true.
And we look at you guys like, come on, dude, don't be a prima donna. But you kind of broke it down. A lot of different singers warm ups, and it really got my wheels turning. About wow, that's that. Even more unknown for you guys as singers. I mean, the whole rock existence is this unknown. You don't know what you're going to get. You guys had even more than us.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. You're a bass player, so it's more interesting maybe for you to see how the other half what we have to deal with. You know what I mean? Everyone thinks singers' jobs are so easy until you lose your voice, and then you're an asshole.
Yeah, it made me think about it. And it was just like, yeah, because as a bass player, if I don't even, I remember playing guitars and not feeling my legs the night I discovered Jägermeister, and I still can play. It's just muscle memory. You know what I mean? But for a singer, it's something different, man.
Yeah, no, it's true, I guess. Yeah. That's funny. That's funny you would talk about that story. I forgot about that one.
It was cool. And then it got to me like, so, and a rough thing that would be, you had to find two voices, man. You found your singing voice, which I'm sure no one finds their singing voice right away. I don't think, you know what I mean?
No, you start off mimicking people that you dig, like Ronnie Dio and Robert Plant. You sing along to Physical Graffiti and Rainbow, Kill the King, and you just sing along, and hopefully it it turns you get your sense of self. You know what I mean? After years of singing about dragons and
Yeah, but as a kid at the county fair, at the party, you talk about parties being broken up. There's not as much pressure. You're allowed to be in your underwear, but now you're jizzy and you got to come out with these books, and people are expecting you to flail. People are expecting to be, some people, as you said, there's a lot of haters. You talk about Coke being the humiliation being the new Coke in one of the parts of the book, which I love, and it's like there's some pressure to land on your voice now, and you did. I mean, it grows with each book, but you had to land on your voice because you're jizzy.
well, especially now because of the YouTube thing, that back in the day, and you were back there
Yeah.
then. I mean, you could get up on stage as fucked up as you wanted to be and, take a total shit, and it wouldn't matter because there was no internet. Now that could ruin your career.
Yeah.
You know
Now,
what I mean?
but now finding the voice, the thing that the author voice, dude, there's a voice in these books. It's blowing my mind. Like, this is like, I cannot wait for the next book, man. There's so many levels. I don't even want to get in trouble with half the shit we could talk about, but these are like life manuals to me. Like the
Let's
minutia
get
of,
in trouble. Let's get in
let's
some
get, all
trouble.
right. Hey, I'm not scared. I'm not scared to get in trouble. I mean, but how did you find the voice? Was that's, I mean, you had to land on that voice because now you're a public figure and you got to come out with a voice right away in these books. And you did.
I think that the first book was written out of a desperation, and I was just, my band had broken up. I was living in the building by myself, and there was just, what do you do? What do you do when you lose your record deal and your band? And do you drink do you just drink yourself to death, or do you pull yourself out of it? And luckily I pulled myself out of it. And then the second book was written with more of a Stephen King-ish feel, and the third book as well, because you get better, like as writers, you hopefully get better, on your second, third, fourth book. So I don't know. It just writes itself.
Man, there's the part where the guy goes in for a job and they go, "What was your previous job?" And he goes, "Serial killer." I mean, this is like this rounded, crafted story, like you say, like Stephen King, but it relates to something bigger. There's something bigger, a feeling there. But that one where the guy's previous job was serial killer just blew my mind.
Yeah. Well, it's just, I don't know. It's just,
I mean, dude, that's pretty twisted in a good way. Like, what was your previous job? I mean, there are people that could probably say that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, there's definitely, well, now now that you're a full-fledged Jedi. I did this interview yesterday, and this girl was basically, I could tell that she was a little freaked out by reading some of the stuff. She was nice about it, but she was a little spooky.
But it's real. I mean, it's real. It's just people. There's nothing that anybody doesn't think about. It's just you're saying it, which is the true artist thing to just say it. You know, I mean, she's getting a manual to probably I think a nice rocker guy's mind in a way, pretty good. Like, I mean, you're like not nice, but not as evil as it could be.
Well, in the second book, it gets pretty evil. I mean, when you talk about certain things that happen with the girls backstage and whatnot and stuff, I think that people know that stuff goes on, but they don't know how gnarly and how dark it is.
It's dark, and I guess but you're not mean spirited. There's not a mean, there was dudes, it would almost sicken me, that mean spirited dude that, like, maybe their mom and dad were so mean to them that they had to take it out on girls. There's not a mean spirit. It's twisted. That's how almost I feel I am in life. It's twisted, but not mean spirited. You know what I mean?
Well, like that story, Green Pontiac is a good example.
Oh man, that broke my heart, the beginning of that. It's so true.
Well, I was on the rap bus. No, LA Guns bus. It was the Poison Tour in '99. And I'm backstage, and where the trucks are and the truck drivers, delivering all the sound and lights and whatnot. And this green Pontiac pulls up, and these girls get out. They put their makeup on, fix their hair, and they start going into the truckers' cabs to service them and to get passes to come backstage. And I'm watching them work their way up the food chain from the truck drivers to the crew guys, to, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then some guy comes on my bus and goes, "Hey, if you guys want to, get something, go over to the Green Pontiac." And I'm
just blowing everybody.
All.
Yeah, like,
well, I'm watching it all from my window of my bus, like a lab technician with a clipboard.
Yeah.
And it's so clinical and so weird watching it actually go down. And then after the show, you see those girls backstage. They got what they wanted. They got their backstage pass, but at what cost?
Yeah.
Their immortal soul. You know what I mean? And everybody knew how they got backstage. So it wasn't like they got a date with Kip Winger.
Yeah. Like you said, she's sitting in the corner and fine with it. It is a strange thing. Like you say, like, that's but that's what didn't feel mean spirited. You're not in there like, bitch, give me head. There's none of that. You know what I mean? Which is funny that I saw more of that from the Valley bands. Like the cleaner Valley bands actually had more of mean spirits, I think, than some of us guys that were living in Hollywood and just hitting it hard. You know what I mean? Maybe there was compassion.
I saw a thing that Ricky Rackman did on some podcast, and he was talking about the Cat House in Hollywood and those times. And he was basically echoing the same thing that I've said and you said, that it was a free for all. It was like anything goes, and it was good times and crazy times. And, and he would know because he had the club that everyone wanted to go to. yeah, I mean, people want to know that stuff. People want to hear about all the crazy stuff that happened back then. You know what I mean? In detail, and those books do deliver.
Yeah, it does. It's and the levels of it. There's one part, and am I okay talking with the different parts of the books? People got to
Sure,
get.
sure.
There's that part where you go to the rainbow, and the rainbow means so much to me. To me, it just symbolizes so much and such a space and portal in time. You know what I mean? And it's you're talking about the different levels. I think you call it the Platinum Club, and it's so true. I mean, I've thought about it, and I always call it 9 levels deep. How many levels deep do you want to go on something? How many levels deep? And you're at like level 10 of these women, and just the fishbowl they swim in, and what's going on. And it blew my mind, the levels that you could take it to.
Yeah, I mean, those are based on real people that I've known and seen and stuff, and some of them think they have the power, and some of them are just delusional, and some of them, I mean, all these girls want to. Their dream is to marry the rocker and live in the mansion and open up a clothing line.
Yeah,
You know
you're
what I mean?
right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
That's the dream.
You're
That's,
right.
you know, like Duff's wife. Duff's wife is what all these women aspire to be, because she got the Wonka golden ticket. You know what I mean? She married her rock star, and they've been married forever. And you know what I mean? And that's what they all want, but not everybody gets what they want. Just like not everyone gets a record deal. Not everyone
That's
gets,
true.
not everyone gets to tour. Not everyone gets to, and so there's some hurt feelings and some broken dreams along the way, as you know, that a lot of guys back then in the 80s that were that were really, really good fucked up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like their one showcase. They had one showcase. I'm thinking of one of my friends in particular. He had the record interest, the cliche
Yeah.
thing.
Industry list. He's on industry.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. But he really did.
yeah.
And they all came to see him at a club, and he had gotten wasted the night before and lost his voice. And that was it. He had his one shot at the gold ring, and never got it back. So
Wow.
that shit happens. Or people that were fucked up on drugs, you know what I
Yeah,
mean, and just fucked up.
yeah.
They were really good, but you couldn't count on them to be in a band, like guitar players that were just really good, but they were just fuck ups.
Yeah, just too much. Couldn't show up, and just, I mean, because you think about bands that got fucked up and got the job done, like you guys, like I know my band, we partied at rehearsal. You know what I mean? And the guy, you partied at rehearsal, but you were rehearsing 8 to 9 hours a day, then going out to promote. It wasn't like we just partied and went to the cool parties and fucked cool chicks. We worked and then went out. You know what I mean? There was a lot of work involved.
Well, it was your job.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's what, people don't realize, is that when you at that time, being a struggling musician, your job was to go out every night and get people interested in your band, to get people to come see your band. That was your job. That was the only
Yeah.
job that you had, was to get interest for your band. And that meant flyering every night, whatever it took.
You guys didn't flyer a lot, because I remember Mandy walking out with you trying to show you how to flyer. You were like, guys were so good that you were kind of above it, but you didn't proclaim to be above it. You walked up the strip with us one night as kids. Just cool to do it, but it wasn't. You didn't need to fly. You used the Bozo Jam Wars, where we all. That was
Well,
your big flyer.
our thing was, we never fit in 100%. Love hate. We never
Yeah,
fit in 100%. We weren't like GNR completely, but we had the screaming vocals, but we were more in the middle of say the Jane's Addiction, the Chili Peppers.
yeah,
Faith No More was big at that time. You know what I mean? So I mean, we were kind of in both camps, and so people didn't know what to make of us for a little while. You have to sort of plant your seed, and after a while we did get a following because of the whiskey,
yeah.
and and yeah, eventually, got the record deal.
It was intense what you guys could do in 4 songs. And it's funny because me and everybody, after they saw the last inning, was just talking about what Love Hate meant to them. And sometimes you go, why? What was it? You go, and Jamie, my buddy, goes, they were almost like Voodoo. You felt like there were bands that were into Satan, there were bands that were into drugs, but you guys, it felt like you did voodoo downtown. And it's funny because Joey commented on some of that saying, yeah, we used to take goat's blood in the bath. And Jamie's like, do you think they really did that? I mean, you got just the way Skid would do that convulsive seizure-like dance. There was some form of voodoo to you guys that it felt. Look at that poster behind you. It felt like voodoo. That I was like, that's really what it was.
You know what it was? It was whatever it took to get up on stage and be that guy. You know what I mean? And if it took a lot, originally it took a lot of booze,
right?
To get up on stage and to shed the shyness, to have the liquid courage to get up there and face people. You know what I mean? Especially in LA, because as you know, people in LA yawn. They're very standoffish, and so it's hard to get people to get into your band. And but we just, whatever it took to sort of conjure up that mojo to get out there. You're right. It was like if you spin around 600 times, you're kind of dizzy, but you're kind of in your trance state. And that's what it took to get on stage. And maybe, I don't know, that's what happened.
Yeah. Like you got, like I said, like the Doors or something. There's something voodoo-ish. And I thought that was a good way to put it. And man, but back to the books, another part that just, dude, a gas station was a rite of passage as a rocker. You learned so much at the gas station. And we talk about 70s, early 80s working at a gas station and people paying in cash and actually getting robbed. That, I mean, and just what a rite of passage working as the long hair at the gas station was.
Yeah, that story almost became a movie.
Really?
In 2005, wow. I was offered a movie deal from IFC.
Oh my God. Yeah. And I understand why. I mean, that meant so much. I'm like, I called my buddy. We were talking about that. That's just, there's a world inside the gas station that once again, you peel away layers.
Kind of like Clerks, maybe.
Yeah, remember you're right. Clerks? You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But more dangerous.
I almost got a movie deal based on that story, and then it expanded outward from there. But more about those times, those psychedelic times. Like some of the stories that I write go off on hallucinogenic journeys. You know what I mean? Because back then, you used to take drugs to expand your mind, or at least that's what you told yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You would take acid or peyote or mushrooms and then go off into the desert and have like a vision quest or something like that. But, that's at that time, that sort of new age time. So a lot of my hallucinogenic teenage journeys were based on trying to, find the inner Jizzo.
Totally. I mean, I remember doing meth with Michael Drager, doing 2 Purple Barrels, listening to Dark Side of the Moon. Like you talk about trying to find the magic secret that was in Dark Side of the Moon, high on meth as a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So but gas station, it's a moment in time for sure. When I was a kid, I worked at a self-serve gas station in the Valley, and basically, this is before computers. This is before any bulletproof glass turrets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, you literally had a big wad of cash in your hand.
Yeah.
And you walked out there and you pulled your wad of cash out. You made change, and it was this weird honor system of feeling like you were safe and that nothing was going to happen to you. And then one night, that all changed. Guys that I thought were cool, long hairs like me, pulled a armed robbery on me.
Yeah, that's what you, and then on top of a buddy pulls up, and I've been in that position in my life as a kid growing up where I'm about to get killed and the right buddy pulls up at the right time and saves the day.
Well, that did save my ass for sure. that saved my ass. But I mean, the joke of the story is that these two guys pulled shotguns on me, and they were really stoned, and I was really stoned, and I was just sort of, I was surprised and I was bummed that they looked like me and they talked like me, but why are you robbing me? You know what I mean? I wanted to schedule an intervention. You know what?
Yeah.
Why are you guys stealing, man? Stealing's bad. And anyway, so I gave him the money, and then my buddy pulls up out of the blue because I guess we were gonna get stoned after work. And what it did was it freaked him out that they lost the script that they had in their mind.
Makes Jizzy, you're so so
But
true.
you know what I mean?
I do. Couldn't put it in words, but you're right. Losing the script.
The script was lost, and so basically, not only did the guy give me back the money, I got him to pay for the gas that he put in his car.
It was mind.
And then when they got in their car to leave, it wouldn't start. And me and my friend push started their truck out of the parking lot, and they waved to me as they left. And it was just, and my friend, and then I started shaking afterwards, you know what I mean? Because it happened so fast. And then my friend's looking at me going, well, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I was just at that point sort of overcome with, 30 seconds of terror.
Yeah.
And funny, but a funny fucking story.
Oh, dude, there's so, like you're saying, just maybe that's it. Like, it leads you to that losing of the script. There's so many layers to the book. Yeah. Do you remember, I was thinking about this because the book is full of this. And this is one thing that bumped. I love getting older, as I think you do too. Like there's a great joy to it and not having the pains. But what I like is going out into the unknown, when the night is the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen. I don't drink anymore. But once in a while I have a night where you don't know where it's going to go. And I love that. That was a good part about growing up as we did. And even these gas station stories, the stories of the mall, the vandalism. It's like, you didn't know what was going to happen. That's one thing I love about youth. A lot of that.
The thing about youth was that you felt completely bulletproof, that you could do anything. You could hang on the Hollywood sign and not get killed. You could, which was totally, in retrospect, a foolish endeavor on my part. You know what I mean? We never thought about safety.
No. First thing I did when I got here was climb that fucking sign and get barbed wired to death. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When we made that cross and trudged it up that hill, we never thought. It was like Passion of the Christ. You know what I mean?
It was, yeah.
And I never thought that I would be up there for hours and hours. It was the tortures of the damned, and then getting arrested and all that stuff. But obviously, it's become legendary story from years and years and years. But yeah, when you're a kid, you do shit because you don't think that anything's going to happen to you. You drive crazy. You know what I mean? You egg houses. You do stupid shit because you think, fuck it, I'm a kid. What can happen? And so luckily nothing happened to me. No babies, no paternity suits.
Yeah. But that thrill, at one part you get banned from the mall. And I was like so into it because it reminded me of days at the mall, going with $20, spending all my money at Asteroids and just having to go to Hickory Farms to fill up on the free samples. You know what I mean? Just filling up on the free samples.
The only guys like us from our time would know about Hickory Farms and the free samples. Because when you're stoned, you would go to Hickory Farms because you knew that you could fill up on salamis and chips and all sorts of doodads, and just you could walk around over and over and over until you were stuffed.
Yeah,
that's so funny. That's a moment in time.
It really is. It really is. And it was just what you did, and you found little rock shirts in the mall, and just but all day at the mall. And what I like that you nail is none of us ever got laid there. We talked the elusive guy that touched a pussy. but none of it for me. It never happened the way it could have happened, or what the way we talked about it happening. We talked so much about things that would never happen. You know what I mean? We were the rock guys.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you're a kid, I think I talk about losing my virginity in one of the stories, but it was just an accident, really. It was just one of those accidents. I think I was 15 and she was 14, and I knew she liked me because we went to 7-Eleven and she stole candy for me. You know, that's how I
Oh,
knew.
it's beautiful. Yeah,
That's how I knew that there was, you know, a connection.
I
You
get
know,
it. I get it.
and then it was an afternoon, and me struggling to figure out, you know, I mean, I'd had some sort of sex ed when I was a kid, but actually going down there and with your hand and sort of figuring out what the hell's down
What's
there.
going on? Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
whoa, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
It's
then her dad breaking down the door. Yeah, it was very traumatic, and but yeah, that's how it happened.
and the 7-Eleven. I have such an affinity for 7-Eleven. It's such a rite of passage of you. I said, when I die, I want one thing at my funeral. I want a Slurpee machine with good consistency, just Coke and cherry, and those old cups with the bear on it. Because I mean, it'll break up the heaviness. Like, you go to so many funerals that are too heavy. I think that'd be funny to have a Slurpee machine on the altar.
So which one did you get more out of, the angst or the unhappy? Out of curiosity.
Let me see. Let me see. I gotta go. I have so many notes here.
Because angst is more rock and roll. It's got more of the rock stories, but unhappy is more long form
I think
short
I think
stories.
Unhappy, because the Platinum Club really, the Platinum Club, and let me see, yeah, two rainbows. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna say Unhappy blew my
Oh, the
mind.
Rainbow Tales. Yeah, that
Yeah,
those are
yeah.
yeah those
There's a
are
lot. You know what I mean? There's a lot in here. The Amber Alert. You know what I mean? The TV programs you'd like to see. And
that's just like straight out National Lampoon hustler humor. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I used to Hustler had the best comics,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
the best cartoons. So that, I mean, I like that grody sort of humor.
Yeah. So I like that. The different games, the topless, bottomless show. One that I really liked. I'm a little lost for which, I'll be reading these forever. They'll be on top of the toilet, not for lack of a better term, just to cruise and just hit a story now that I've poured through all three forever. But there's one where you describe your neighbors in an apartment building. And it so reminded me of the buzz codes of the little Thai food delivery coupons on the handles, and just that we had to coexist with normal people that were doing normal jobs at that time. It blew my mind.
Well, that story was based on me living in this apartment, and how you don't know your neighbors, but you just sort of, by visualizing them, you figure, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
I do. I do.
you think this person's something, or you think that this person's something based on nothing, just seeing them every day, back and forth and stuff like that. So obviously I took it to the absurd level, as I always do. And then the swingers thing, that was a whole different dark thing that I made up out of my head.
But it's true. I remember living on Bronson, and one of the guys we lived with slept with the landlord, and it seemed like she was ancient because she was hot and she was like 37 at the time, which is not ancient at all. But just like, it was that building, and it was like you nailed that Hollywood building. That's, I mean, I think you were in Van Nuys in it or somewhere. I don't know where yours was.
Well, we used to, Skid and I used to live up the street from Sunset Denny's. Remember,
Yeah, I
it's
remember
something
when you
else
guys lived
now.
there. Yeah, I remember a lot of people. Oh, Skid, you guys were pretty
Yeah,
legendary and are legendary, but people would talk about you in that building. Yeah.
yeah, near Guitar Center
Yeah.
on Sunset, and yeah, there were male hookers there, and they would unscrew their patio lights at night and put red lights in, so that's how you knew that they were open for business. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah. Oh,
it's
yeah. Yeah.
dark shit. You know
Dark
what I
show.
mean?
Oh, dark. Yeah.
Prostitution going on full on.
Oh, my
And
guitar. Well, one of my band members in Blackboard Jungle, I shouldn't say, would come to practice and be like, why? I got a blowjob. $20. He would just pay on his way to practice on Sunset by the Sunset Social Club and get some big mama to just blow it. Like, he thought it was normal. It was kind of amazing, but he would just do it. It was just so out of control.
when I first started coming, I would go down Santa Monica Boulevard near where Shakey's used to be.
Yeah, down on
And
that.
I would
Yeah,
see these, yeah, I would see these guys on the park benches, on the bus benches rather, and they would just be there. And then I'd go to rehearsal and I'd come back and they'd be on the same bus benches. And it didn't dawn on me. I thought, God, these buses run really slow because that guy's on the same, it didn't dawn on me that they were hooking, I mean, and then obviously I realized that they were prostitutes. But I mean, when you're from the Valley and you come out to Hollywood, it's a whole different world. I mean, I would come to the Troubadour back when I was a kid, and I tell the story. I'm in the Troubadour, and Robin Crosby from Rat comes in, and he's dressed in full leather. He looked like a Waffen SS officer with the Gestapo hat and the black trunks, all in leather. And he was a tall dude anyway.
Yeah, he was a
So
huge dude.
it was a scary. I was looking at this guy going, Jesus Christ, you know what I mean? And everyone parted when he went through, and because he was a rock star. I mean,
rock god. Oh yeah,
there was a huge time, and it really showed me that my San Fernando Valley way of thinking was wrong, was skewed, and that I needed to see how the better half lived. And so we started going out to Hollywood and realizing that there was a whole community and a whole scene there, and obviously embraced it and became part of it.
Yeah, I remember Kim Fowley used to tell bands that didn't want to come out and really dive in full. He'd go, "You keep your 818 area code the rest of your life." Mm-hmm. They wouldn't move. And it's funny you talk. What would you say? No, you say.
Go ahead.
No. But we're talking about 818. We're about in the Valley.
Well, when you're from the Valley, and you come out to Hollywood, it's a big deal. At first, you make fun of those kind of people, the way they're dressed, the way they poof their, like Nikki Sixx hair and stuff. Yeah. But then you realize that they have something you don't. They have that theater showbiz thing. And unless you're John Cougar Mellencamp or Bryan Adams, that just, it doesn't cut it. Wearing a t-shirt and jeans. I mean, you got to dress up to impress. And that's why I changed my name to Jizzy, because my name didn't look good on a marquee when you're up against people like CeCe DeVille and Nikki Sixx and Axl Rose. And you know what I mean? It's just slash.
Oh, well, my name's Britt. My real name's William Pinella. I was like, this ain't going to cut it when I moved to Hollywood. I'm going to go with Britt.
You have to.
And now it sucks when someone goes, oh, they think a female's booking a DJ gig with Britt, but I'm just going to play through at this point. But yeah, you're like.
Yeah. Well, see, obviously, when I changed my name in my 20s, I had no conception that I would be 60 and still have to be Jizzy. You know what I mean?
So Britt, it is. Trust me. I mean,
there's some silliness, but if you're the Edge and you're a millionaire, no one makes fun of you.
Yeah, or you're Jizzy, and I mean, to who you are to us. I mean, I know people might, but you were talking about the X's and the letters too. We talk about Demals in your book. I like that era where you're talking about the X's, the double letters in name, and the band Demals. That was an interesting part as well.
Well, remember those guys? They got a record deal before anyone else.
I do. That's when I got. Yeah.
And I remember watching them, and then this translates into how people looked at me. When I saw those guys, they were on Atlantic Records, and I remember scrutinizing them, going, well, what makes them different? Why did they get a record deal? You know what I mean? What's the X factor that they have that I don't have, or that my band doesn't have?
Yeah.
And then you realize that it's just, when it's the right time, it's your time, and you have the right songs. And really, Demals had a small bit of notoriety in LA, and then that was it. They sort of disappeared off the map. But yeah, and then when I would tour and Blackout in the Red Room, we would be doing clubs, and I would see the same thing. I would recognize it. I would see these local bands looking at me, going, "What do they have that we don't have? We look cool. We have tattoos. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have Les Pauls. Why do they have a record deal and a bus, and we don't?" And so it's just a weird way of looking at it, I guess.
Well, there's and by the way, DeMalls. I was just with Ron from Little Caesar this week, and they played it with Junkyard at the Viper. I DJ'd over there, and wrong single when the deal was so big that the record company picked the wrong single. I think Little Caesar and DeMalls, the wrong single. You know what I mean? They put out a cover for Little Caesar. They put 777. Everybody, when you were in a club, The Stroll was the night at the malls. You'd hear them play that song, The Stroll. That was their song. They didn't get to release their song.
Yeah, it's funny. I used to date a girl that worked at Capitol Records, and when Little Caesar had that cover song Chains, I remember her telling me they have 150 ads on radio stations. They have 150 ads because there's magazines that document.
Oh yeah, they're managed by Jimmy Iovine. It was so choked. We were taught so much around them.
So yeah, at the time, I thought that they were on their way, because if you're getting played on radio like that, that's big.
They had more ads than the Black Crowes at the time. He was telling me it was pretty wild, but it just was too much money into it that it needed to perform better.
Well, and it just, it wasn't meant to be. Just like people ask me about Love Hate, why didn't you guys go multi-platinum? Why didn't, it's such a shame, blah, blah, blah. Well, it wasn't meant to be, man. We had what we had, and we had some really good stuff times, and it wasn't meant to be that we were Guns N' Roses level. That's and you come to terms with it, hopefully. Or
well, like you say in the book, you've outlasted Papa Roach, Korn, that movement. You're doing it times better than you did in Love Hate. I mean, by being a survivor.
Well, I'm still doing it. I'm still doing it. That's but then again, I mean, what am I supposed to do? I gotta man up and take responsibility and pay the rent. You know what I mean? I don't want to be one of those couch dudes that just bitches about, all the breaks I didn't get. You know what I mean? It's just, fuck, you got to go out there and earn a living. And thank God that bands like LA Guns and Quiet Riot and Faster Pussycat and Winger and, you know what I mean? All of us are still able to work and make a living and stuff like that. That's partly because our fan base grew up going to concerts. You know what I mean? And they want to go out. Whereas I think the newer generation, I could be wrong, but I think the newer generation is so addicted to the phone and the machine, and that they would just rather watch it on their phone.
You have a cycle. Someone was telling me that worked at a big management company that you have a band, they hit, and then everybody goes to see them. Then you have 20 years where you have to figure out what to do with that band, how to make them to survive till when they have their kids and their kids go off to college and they're ready to go rock again. And that's what it is. Everybody we grew up with, the kids are in college, they're ready to rock again and go out. That's why these Faster Pussycat Enough shows are selling out. It's true.
Yeah, Quiet Riot's been doing it for 40 years. 40.
I know. I went and I bought a ticket last time they played at the Whiskey, and it was like great. And you got, the spirit stays alive. It's amazing.
Well, it's awesome. I mean, it's a lucky thing. Put it that way. It's a lucky thing. I mean, my friend's in Night Ranger, and he's playing every single weekend, and it's just it's a blessing. And everybody that does what I do and is touring and playing in music should, count their blessings that the fans are still willing to, obviously we've been, cooped up for a year, but that everyone's willing to. I mean, I played in Fargo last week for thousands of people. It was so awesome.
Was that what that picture was with you at the front of the ramp?
Yeah.
Was that from that?
Fargo. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome, man. Great picture.
Well, you know what was awesome about it is that when you go out there, you feel that energy of thousands of people.
And I thought, dude, I saw that in you. You could see, because I look at some of those M3 pictures where the bands aren't connected with the people. If you look at that shot, it feels like it's connected and you're this solo thing all the way out there. You're right, conducting electricity.
Well, kind of like I'm the lightning rod.
Yes,
that everybody is. Yeah, no, you really do feel it. You really do feel it. It's just, it was nice. It made me feel good in the sense that thank God, that we're still able to do this. Thank God.
It's a transfer of energy, don't you think? Performing like that, that's what the people I love, like you, like it's a big transfer of energy between the crowd and you.
I just, I suppose so. I mean, that's why live music is so vital for a lot of people, because you don't get that from the big screen TV. I mean, for a while, people were doing those virtual concerts and stuff.
Oh,
and I mean, it's just not the same. I mean, I know that people have to do what they got to do, to do what they got to do. But I'm watching it on TV, and the band is good, but it's just not. It's kind of like watching it in a little box.
Yeah.
It's not.
Oh, what that picture says it all. And this Saturday I was down, I DJ'd that Junkyard Little Caesar show, and Roach and his band made more sense now than they made to me in '88 even. It almost had more of something, you know what I mean? More of a warrior type mentality. And he's out there killing it. I mean, it was beautiful.
So funny. I did a festival a couple of years ago with Junkyard, and we ended up just for about a half hour just talking about this shit that we're talking about, because they're from the same exact place.
Oh yeah.
And talking about the Andy Club and all this stuff, and we did this and we did that, and it's like we're all war buddies. It's like we were all in Vietnam, and we have that 10,000 yard stare, and everybody, you can tell who was there and who wasn't, and it's like we're war buddies, and you got to celebrate the people that have survived. You know what I mean?
Totally. We're standing on a corner at 2 a.m. with Roach and Tim. We're at the Chase Bank that used to be Tower Video. I'm like, this is unbelievable that we're still here. Just finding out, he's figuring out where he wants to go. We want to go home. He wants to keep going. I'm like, this is unbelievable. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the Strip will never be the way it was. The Platinum Club girls have moved on.
But you can take people. That's what you don't insult people. That's what I love, that weren't there. You can take them there. That's what's beautiful about your books. You take people there. They can experience it right here and other things. But I think the gas stations, the serial killer going for the job, it all ties in to the experience and the time leading up to the time. You get the experience with these three books.
It's a twisted sort of imaginative journey, It is, and it was really awesome to expand the short story, like that story, Unhappy Endings, the story in the book.
Yeah.
About the guys that were kids and then got together later on.
Oh, the one in Arizona, dude. Seeing it crushed me, man. That was amazing. That's the one where you meet your friend in Arizona.
No. That was
okay.
That's a true story. That was about a guy that I was best friends with when we were playing in garage bands in the Valley.
Yeah.
And the guy was, we were best buddies. And as time went on, we just sort of lost touch. And then I got the record deal and he didn't. And after about 20 drinks, his jealousy finally bubbled out of him. And it was ugly, and it was, you know what I mean? It was unwarranted.
Yeah. I know, but it's what happens.
Because he quit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And if you quit, don't shit on the guy that didn't quit. Totally. And that's all.
And what was unhappy? And I love that story. But what was the unhappy endings ones?
Unhappy Endings is about a group of teenagers sitting around a bong,
Yes.
as they normally do, and they're just kind of talking, and the subject of what would be the worst way to die. And one of them, who had just seen Jaws,
Oh,
was
the
scared to death.
shark.
Was scared to death of sharks, and so he won't go in the water because, you know, we used to body surf at Zuma, like everyone else, and he won't go in the water anymore. And this other guy just read The Cask of Amontillado by Edgar Allan Poe, and so his worst way to die would be to be walled up alive behind a wall and slowly die. And another guy, you know, another way, blah blah blah. But it's just shit talking, you know,
Yeah.
stoned teenagers. And then later on in life, they get back together through like a classmates.com
Yes.
type
Yes.
thing. And this one guy lures all his old friends back to his house and murders them in the gruesome way that they hate.
There was some way where it was almost like a shark attack. There's something that ties into all their fears when he murders.
Yeah, exactly.
Runs in the wall or something like that. At the end, it ends up with the guy in the wall.
Because this guy, who was me in the story,
Jim is basically Jim is you.
The worst way to die would be to be alone, and so he basically accused all of those guys of deserting him, you know. And you know, when you're in high school, you think that you're all going to be best friends forever, you know. And as you get into your 20s, and some people get married, and you start to separate. And this guy just couldn't handle it. He couldn't handle it, and so he had to get his revenge in grisly fashion.
Oh, it's awesome. Hey, the final two questions. One that I really like. One thing that a lot of rockers don't have, and it's scary, is self-awareness. Your self-awareness seems at a high level. How do you think? How do you feel about that? And how does it occur? Because that's such a gift to have self-awareness. I think you know exactly where you are at all times in all of these stories.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess somebody asked me a question about what does it feel like to be a replacement singer, and they didn't ask it in a shitty way. They were just kind of, you know, curious. What is it like to sing another guy's lyrics, another guy's vibe,
right?
You know, which I have done. I've been sort of the ninja that's jumped in a couple of bands when they needed a guy.
And everybody that comes back from one of those shows is floored. That goes in a naysayer usually comes out pretty into it.
You know, I mean, I'm one of those guys. There's Robbie Crane is a bass player that, if they need a guy in a week to learn 15 songs and fly out to Spokane, Washington and play in front of 5,000 people, they know they can call him and he's the guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's certain guys in the community, and I'm one of them, that, you know, you can count on not to fuck up your band. Anyway, so to your question, I think that what she said is, you know, do you get mad when people talk shit about you on the internet about how you're not blah blah blah, or you'll never be Stephen Pearcy or whatever? And the point is you have to have a very strong sense of self to be able to do the gig and not get your feelings hurt. You know what I mean? No shit that I'm not Stephen Pearcy.
Yeah.
You know, I've never, and I'm not Kevin Dubrow, but I'm me. And I'm going to do the best job I can, and I'm good enough, and I'm stepping in, and I'm going to kick ass. And so as far as the internet and all the shit talkers, stuff like that, it bounces off, really.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, when people, you know, actually post that I can't sing, or, I mean, they're wrong.
Yeah. Well, there's not an ounce of there's not an ounce of blandness to you. Like, and that's funny that you can step in with bands, but somehow, because, you know, there's guitar players, bass players that step in and they play it note for the, but there's just maybe a blandness, maybe not. It's just there. It's like, you have some magic where you're Jizzy, and like when you look at you, there's a story there. So there's no blandness. You don't step in as a bland guy at all.
Well, if my band had sold millions and millions of records, I would be doing my band. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I would still be doing Love Hate, and I would be playing with my band, probably not with any of the original members because they've all sort of moved on. But I would be doing that. I mean, I would be doing my own music. But the thing is my band didn't sell millions of records. So I would rather, you know, play in a band that's got some stature
Yeah.
and has sold millions of records because the gigs are really good,
Yeah.
and you get, it's a good gig, and good gigs are hard to find. They really are. You know what I mean? I mean, nobody wants to beat the shit out of themselves in a van
Yeah.
for $100 a week. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
It's death. You know what
Right.
I mean? And so that's, I guess, so when you say self-awareness, I write what I write, and it comes out of me. And sometimes it's shocking, and sometimes it's really puzzling where it goes.
Yeah.
How did I end up here? You know what I mean? Where, you know what I mean? It's almost like you're doing that first person shooter thing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're going from room to room, and you end up in a place that maybe you didn't think you were going to end up, but it's a weird twist, and it's a good way to for closure of a story or an idea or something like that. So, you know, as far as writing and songwriting and stuff, when you do it long enough, like my fourth book, I'm almost done with it. It's I was proofreading it yesterday, and I'm reading it, and it's really good, and it's in the same vein.
Yeah.
There's hardcore stories,
Yeah.
fiction, and there's hardcore Sunset Strip stuff and band stuff.
Well, I'm
And
curious to see if you deball it at all, given our current climate. I hope you don't. I wonder.
um
We're in a different era. I hope you don't deball it.
I don't. It's just,
You see, Chappelle doesn't have to deball anything. Bill Burr doesn't deball. Comedians are the only ones that
well,
seem to.
guys like Bill Burr are so above everyone else. You
They
know what I
just,
mean?
yeah, yeah,
That guy, every couple of years or every 2 years, comes out with a Sergeant Pepper. You
yeah.
know what I mean? He does a special, and it's fucking brilliant from beginning to end. That there's not many Bill Burrs out there.
And when he went
Just
on
like,
Saturday Night Live and said what it, I don't know if you saw the Saturday Night Live. It was edgy, one of the first edgy things I've seen in a long time.
well, he's successful enough now that he doesn't need to give a fuck.
Yeah,
He really doesn't, and that's what's awesome. And in a way, me as a writer, I don't have to give a fuck either. I don't have to censor myself.
yeah,
It just has to be good. It
yeah.
just has to be well written and good and say something. And that's all it really needs to be. So yeah, I mean, that's I hope that it's as good as the other ones. I mean, it's just, I'm an older guy now, and
Right,
I'm not
yeah,
the same guy I was back then. So everyone has to take that into consideration, that I'm not out there burning the candle like Genghis Khan like I used to. So you
and,
know.
and there's nice spaces between the books. I used to think that's why Springsteen had such good colors to his albums in the '70s. You got '99, 2002, 2006. Now we go to 2021. There's nice spaces, so like a life develops in between each book. I love that.
Well, it, I think it's I'm very happy that this fourth book will be coming out, and a culmination. You know what I mean? Because you always have to stay creative. You always have to, even like when people started downloading music,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden the royalty checks
Mhm.
went bye bye.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of guys like me had a chip on their shoulder about that, because that was one way you just took away a third of our livelihood.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that's just the way it is now. People download, or if they're a fan, they'll buy your record, but the majority don't. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you got Spotify, which is just the weirdest fucking thing on earth. You know what I mean?
Well,
and
you
and
have,
and
I
it,
mean, yeah. I mean, the artwork, dude, when I opened them, I mean, when they didn't come, when I thought they, like, I was so brokenhearted because even the artwork, like, I usually loan my books out. I have a habit of giving a book away after I have, you know what I mean? Like a rite of passage.
Mhm.
Like, I like to finish a book and give it to a friend and give it a second life. I can't give these away because they're just the art and the collection. I just can't. There's so much to me.
it's 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 a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work to commission the artist and to do all this stuff yourself. It's hard work to create, like a producer creates a movie or a
Yeah.
record or something like that. It isn't just twisting knobs. You know what I mean? It's the package, it's the CD package, it's the cover photo,
Yeah.
it's the direction. And same with the books. I mean,
That's what it felt like opening an album. You're right. It's that kind of joy when I get these. I love it,
you
man.
have to have a sense of what your direction is when you write the books and or anything. And so yeah, I mean it is a lot of work. I got to tell you. So I'm happy that they're selling. I mean, my first book is gone now and
Mhm.
sold out, and it's good that they're selling. You know what I mean? And some people are going to be a little shocked. You know, they're not they're expecting like a two-dimensional Tommy Land thing,
Well, and
you
this
know.
leads to, yeah, and it's going to lead me to my final question of, well, but yeah, you're right. A two-dimensional. I, I have this term, and I actually made a joke. So, big rock dummy. There's a lot of big rock dummies out there. You know what a bit. I mean, I think you're aware of what a big rock dummy is.
Well, they want their rock meat and potatoes. They're not
Yeah, bro. Oh,
interested in,
fuck this bitch. Like
uh,
they wouldn't get like they just don't. They're not going to delve into the layers or something. And how did you avoid? So many people are just big rock dummies, and you're the furthest thing from it. So I say, you, Morrison, Axel. I'm sorry, they're like I put it all in the same sentence. How three guys that just are not dummies. You could say what you want about Axel, but he's not a dummy. He does dumb decisions, but he's not a dummy.
I just you know what, I don't, I have no answer. I have no answer for
You
that. I
know what I'm
just,
talking about, though, right? Do you know what I'm
well,
talking?
of course, of
Yeah.
course. I mean, my books, my way of thinking or whatever isn't everyone's cup of tea. But I hope that with the expansion of the cable TV, and people are more willing to invest in something that maybe they didn't think that they were going to dig, and all of a sudden they're just going, well, fuck, this really blows my mind. You know, this really blows my mind. So that's what I think. And plus people are older, and maybe they want to escape reality a little bit, you know, by just
Yeah.
reading some stories and not being glued to the Netflix. You know what I mean? I
Oh, I
just
do. I do. Oh, dude, these made me so happy. There's such a, and like I said, I was able to read them, sit in the backyard, and just go. I'm going to go three deep, two more, like set goals. They move. They're not. They are ADD friendly. I mean, they really are. I mean, they move.
they're built for a short attention span. Is that what you're saying?
They are. No, they work for a short. They move. They move. There's not a lot of fat. Like you see a guitar player that doesn't play a lot of bullshit. And Johnny didn't play a lot of bullshit notes. The love hate leads, not a lot of bullshit notes on a love hate record, not a lot of bullshit writing in these books. There's not a lot of fat.
You know, and now that you're a full-fledged Jedi Knight, and I appreciate the fact that you read them and grokked them. Do you know what grok is?
I don't know what Grokt is. See, I'm a big rock
Stranger in a
dummy here.
Robert Heinlein's Stranger in a Strange Land. To grok something is to sort of get the zeitgeist of it, to get the fullness and
Oh
the
yeah,
wholeness
yes.
of it, and and that's what you seem to have gotten
Hmm.
from the books. You know, the good, the bad, the ugly. You know what I mean?
It's a picture. Yeah.
Everything in it, and sort of digested it, and that's what I want. I mean, my goal would be to have people read again and to enjoy it like I do, you know what I mean? And just to have a laugh, you know what I mean? Yeah,
Would you ever, and I know I love reading too. I love reading. Would you ever do an audiobook though? Because yeah, of course there's things you go, this would be an amazing audiobook on Audible. I mean,
yeah,
I'd buy it
I
on
mean,
top.
I've been it's been brought up, but that again, it's a fuck of a lot of work, dude.
Yeah, yeah. It
A
would be
lot
pretty
of fucking
beautiful.
work.
It'd be nice.
I
And
mean, right now, see, that's the thing is right now, or I went on tour, I wrote over 200 pages of my fourth book before I started doing these Quiet Riot dates.
yeah.
And now I'm working pretty much every single weekend. And, you know, that's 3 to 4 days a week of being on the road, being on long plane rides, sound checks, you know what I mean? No
Yeah.
sleep, yada, yada, yada. So the comfortable time of taking a pad and paper and being able to concentrate on a story is it's hard right now because my energy is directed at gigging. You know, I'm in sort of a gig mode right now. So when that sort of slacks off, when the summer's over, I think I can get back to finishing this book and getting it ready. You know, all the 101 things I need to do.
Yeah. And the final, it's funny. I look at the love hate poster, and the books remind me of like one thing that I was proud of being from Hollywood and being, a love hate fan when you guys exploded in the UK was I felt like you took the Hollywood story and showed it to people in other places and they went crazy. Like, I don't know why I thought something was so romantic about that you were taking everything that was happening at the Whiskey and the Bozo jams and all the stories, bringing it to another country, and people were going ape shit over it. That's that was beautiful.
I think that the British audience had a hankering for the drinking songs because there's a lot of boozing
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
first record, and obviously the pub culture over there is
yeah.
a big thing. And I think they just kind of got the tongue-in-cheek humor of it. Whereas if I went to Germany, they didn't get it. You know what I
Right.
mean? They really tried to push us in Germany, but it's a different culture, and they don't have the sarcasm
Yeah.
thing that the British do. And but we really got pretty big over there.
It was a story. Yeah.
And like Jane's Addiction. Jane's Addiction never really broke over here until their second record. But they were huge in the UK. I mean, they were recognized as being really good.
But I heard
And
when they
so,
signed them, someone said, we want to sign a band at Warner Brothers that sounds like Nighttime in Los Angeles. And that's what they sound like. Nighttime in Los Angeles.
oh, they were so, still are, but they were just so good. I mean, they were just so explosive and you talk about not knowing what the band is going to do. I mean, they were all just like little bits of dynamite and they were great. I mean, they were back then and I think the British took to us and it was great. I mean, I can remember walking some girl to a bus stop the morning after a gig and there I am on the cover of Kerrang magazine in the newsstand.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's just it's heavy. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Because I'm hungover and I'm walking her back because, oh, I'm such a gentleman, blah, blah, blah. And then she looks at the magazine and then she looks at me and it just, hey, this guy's a rock star, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just thinking, well, I'm just some, drunk guy that got lucky. You know what I mean? But that's kind of how it was in the UK for a couple of years. It was really awesome. It was really awesome.
Do you still have that leather jacket? I think you're wearing it on the Kerrang cover. Your jackets were such works of art back then. Do you still have that jacket?
Yeah.
You do.
Unfortunately, I don't have that jacket anymore.
Oh, you don't.
No.
Man, there was just
no.
such work. You agree? Those were kind of works of art, and everything about Love Hate to me was art. The jackets, the cross, and everything, man.
Well, what we did was we bought cheap leather jackets. We drove down to Tijuana, me and Skid, and we bought cheap leather jackets in Tijuana. and painted them
Yeah,
to
there's a
make
lot of
them,
red. I remember there's a lot of red,
yeah,
and yeah,
to give them some more pizzazz. And we bedazzled them with spikes
yeah,
and a bunch of shit. And that's but that was kind of part of our thing, is we injected art like a Salvador Dali.
yeah. They look like Voodoo, the jackets. We were trying to copy what you were
Yeah,
doing. You know what I mean? It was
yeah,
Voodoo.
I guess, I mean, it was art, but it was our way of sticking out from the hundreds and hundreds of other similarly dressed, black haired, tattooed
Yeah, because it wasn't your
guys.
name on the back, love, hate. It was the weird symbols and stuff that became love,
Yeah,
hate, you know?
yeah, it was
The
you
beer
had
can
to
cross. Yeah, everything. Yeah.
you had to be special in a place, in a genre where everyone was kind of doing the same thing. I mean, they all wanted to sign the next Guns N' Roses, so that's what all the labels were looking for. And so obviously Columbia thought that's what they were getting with us, but we had our own,
Oh,
little
totally. Yeah.
spin. Like this picture um, was a picture that Skid painted, uh, like from here to here. It was just a picture that he painted a year before, and it was hanging on Joey's wall. And it was when they were asking us for cover ideas for the record, and they were giving us these absurd cover ideas, like somebody in the basement at Columbia Records thinking, like from the young rockers section, and like a bee, a metal bee with wings.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm
Yeah.
just
Oh,
looking
I
at
get,
it going,
yeah.
you guys have no clue of what we are and what we really are trying to be. And so I mean, I literally did this. I took that picture and I took some notebook paper and I cut love hate letters out and I put it on the top of that picture. And I go, this should be our cover, because that's what we are.
So that's cut out of notebook paper. It's amazing, man.
We're kind of we're we're psychedelic, stoner, rock guys, hippies,
Yeah.
but we're also heavy. You know what I mean? Like this
That's the
poster,
voodoo, man. That's the voodoo in
yeah,
it.
this
Yeah.
poster's got some heaviness to it, and so that's how the Blackout in the Red Room cover came about, was just by accident.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, man. And thank you for the books. Everybody's got the Trilogy of Terror. If they want to go in and be there at a time and place, this is it. And I can't wait for the new book, man.
JizzyPearl.net. JizzyPearl.net for all your zombie apocalypse needs. It's yeah. Well, I appreciate your support.
Thank
It's
you
killer.
so much, Jizzy. And say goodbye to everybody and hang out so I could say goodbye.
Peace.